Various murders happen across the United States. From DC to LA to New Orleans to Las Vegas, every person that has been murdered looks like they've been bitten by something, like an animal, or possibly a vampire. Their bodies are completely drained of blood. Alex Cross now has to find out who exactly is behind these murders, and could it have something to do with an entire vampire cult that has been underground until recently? In Violets Are Blue by James Patterson, we follow as Alex tries to figure out what exactly is going on. Are all of these murders orchestrated by some kind of vampire cult that is trying to rise to power? And along with this, the mastermind keeps calling Alex, telling him he can see him working on this case. He can see how his family is and how he's not ever with them. So who even is the mastermind? Well, that was revealed in the end of Roses Are Red. The very last chapter, we find out who the mastermind is, and then throughout this entire novel, you really start to see how the mastermind is played into this story, and it's just creepy because you know who this person is and how he knows Alex, and it just blows your entire mind how this person could be the mastermind. My overall thoughts on this book was that it was kind of just everywhere, but it wasn't distracting. So with everything that was happening with the entire case itself was just kind of all over the place. The killers were literally going from one place to the next, not stopping. All of a sudden, people were dropping like flies. And then with the mastermind being played into this, it honestly brought a lot to the character of Alex in this story. He felt very tension-filled, and you could feel that tension as the novel progressed and progressed and progressed. And towards the end of the novel, when he actually finds out who the mastermind is, everything turns a 180 for Alex, and you really don't know what's going to happen next because you don't know how he's going to react to finding out who the mastermind is. I know I have said this about the last like 3 or 4 books that I've read in this series, but it is so true what I have said before about this series, that with every book that Patterson continues to write for this series, they just get crazier and more intense, and you really don't know where this level is coming from. Like, you thought that the whole story was on one level, and it just jumps like 15 levels in the next book, so you have no idea what to expect anymore when it comes to this. And to be completely honest, the ending of this novel has me a little skeptical as to what's going to happen with Alex, because he says he's going to do one thing, but if there's more novels in this series after this, I don't think it's going to go the way that you think it's going to go in the novel, because, I mean, there's just more books after this one, I know, so something's not going to go the way that he thinks it's going to. I'm trying to be as vague as possible when I say that, but it's so hard to talk about this series when nobody else has read it, because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't read this series, and so I try to keep it as vague as possible, but it's so difficult. If you are honestly looking for something that is not like any other mystery series and is very jam-packed, very actiony, and is just heart-pounding, this series is by far the best. I will always rant and rave about James Patterson because he's just perfect. He's the perfect writer for this series. He makes it so enticing, and he just makes it so realistic to you that you feel like you're on this journey with all of these characters, and that's incredible, because when I think of a mystery thriller novel, I want to be kind of like feeling like there's adrenaline running through my body with every page turn. I want to feel like I am sitting beside my main character looking at these case files and seeing like who is going to be this person that has been doing these murders. And that's what Patterson does. He puts you in the position of essentially being almost kind of like that little birdie on his shoulder. It's incredible the amount of detail and the amount of the little things he takes into account with this character. Every little thing he likes, every little thing he dislikes, every little detail about each of the killers. He puts so much attention to all that detail, and it makes it so much more enjoyable to me because it makes my heart race. And along with that, the character of Alex is very refined. He's a black man, but you don't think of him as that because his vocabulary and his way of speaking is very different than what you would normally see from a black person. And that's not to say that I think James Patterson is kind of whitewashing this character. I think it's mainly because Alex grew up in a time that, you know, he was raised by his grandmother, who was a very kind of educated, very sophisticated woman. She was basically the person that raised him from the time he was a child after his parents had died. And so I think that a lot of that comes from the fact he was raised by such a educated and sophisticated woman like Nana Mama. And along with that, he kind of has to be that kind of guy in order to be a cop. He can't speak incorrectly, if you will, just to make it like he's on some kind of level with the criminals and stuff that he deals with. He has to kind of be a level above them to show he's the authority, he's the person that's in charge kind of thing. So I think it's very interesting for Patterson to kind of create Alex and write him in that kind of sense, because it makes it a lot clearer to the reader, so we're not trying to like decipher what exactly this person is saying, like if he was to put in normal African American vernacular speaking. And it's just, it makes it kind of more believable. I feel like if he was to use actual like African American vernacular language, this series would not be anywhere near as good as it would be, because it would be so hard to understand what he was saying. I think it's really interesting that he does that, because it sets Alex apart from the rest of the culture, the rest of the environment that surrounds him. He's a beacon in this pitch black kind of area, if you will. So in the last book review, I actually kind of lied to you guys. I thought I only had 2 other books, which was this one and the next one. And I think there's actually, after this one, there is 2 more that I'm going to be reading. The next book that is going to be read is going to be Four Blind Mice by James Patterson. And I don't know too much about that one. I haven't even read the back of the book, so I'm interested to see how that one's going to turn out, especially with how this one ended. Let me know if you guys are at all like interested in learning more about the series, because I could do a video where I talk about the whole progression from the very first novel to where I'm at now, just to kind of give you guys an idea of like what the other books were about, because I have not reviewed them on this channel. I think that would really help a lot of people who have not read the series yet to kind of get an understanding of what the series is about and if they really want to get started with it. But thank you guys so much for joining me in this book review of Violets Are Blue by James Patterson. If you guys enjoyed it, please do give it a big thumbs up, and if you're not already and you'd like to be, hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock, and I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys! The next book that is going to be read is going to be